These are devotions for people at a social distance. This morning I was thinking about the phenomenon of voluntary blindness as I was reading in 1 Samuel chapter 3. This is the story of how God speaks to the boy Samuel for the first time. But it starts out talking about Eli, who is the priest at the sanctuary. And he is first introduced like this in this passage. At that time, Eli, whose eyesight had begun to grow dim so that he could not see, was lying down in his room. And of course, the idea of poor Eli, now so old, he's losing his eyesight, immediately raises, sympathy for this old man who's been trying to serve the Lord. But as it turns out, maybe we shouldn't be so sympathetic to Eli. So God shows up, God speaks to Samuel, and there's this wonderful little exchange where Samuel actually figures out that it's God speaking to him. But so Samuel finally says, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And in verse 13, it says this. God says to Samuel, "For I've told Eli that I'm about to punish his house forever for the iniquity that he knew, because his sons were blaspheming God, and he did not restrain them." Now, if you read the whole passage, the whole story, what's been going on is that the sons of Eli have been ripping people off who come to the sanctuary, and they have also been raping the women who serve in the sanctuary. This is very much a case of abuse of authority and sexual abuse. And apparently, Eli has known that that's been happening. He's spoken to his sons and he said, so the sons basically, don't do it so much. And God has lost patience. And so in many ways, when as you go back and read it, when it introduces Eli as going blind, not being able to see, it makes me wonder. Is it simply that he's getting old, his eyes aren't working anymore? Maybe to a certain extent. But it's also very clearly that he does not want to see the abuse, the mistreatment that is taking place under his authority. So this is very much, the temptation. When you are in a position of authority, when you are leading others, when you are responsible for the safety of people in an organization, the temptation not to see the people who are abusing their power, who are abusing other people, is so real. You want to keep things quiet. You want to keep things under control. That desire to not see is very real. And I would just remind us that Eli is this incredible example of just how dangerous it is not to see what is happening under your watch. The consequences for Eli and his family are absolutely dire in this story. And he's been warned, but he didn't want to see. So if you're ever in a position where things are going on and you don't want to see, you don't want to be aware of it, you blind yourself to it. Yeah, I understand where that comes from. I understand that desire, but it is dangerous. Lord our God, thank you that you give us all responsibility to look out for everyone under our care, no matter what the problems, no matter what the difficulties there may be in raising those issues. Let us be faithful. Let us do what is right.